WJG Sports. We journal great.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Just Like Brothers podcast here, episode number 42. We're here with a very special guest. My man, tell the people who you are.
My name's Chuck Jones. I'm part of Half Sideline Stories. Work with the Sports Shop, WRL Buzz Sports Radio, man. And I'm Kinston native, man. Kinston's always going to be in any introduction that I have, man. That's my heart, man. Kinston, Kinston basketball. And, man, I'm happy to be here with you guys today, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, man. We're excited to have you on, man. You're definitely an OG who's definitely chops it up with us all the time. So we appreciate you coming on to share some of that great knowledge that you've gained.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm glad to be here. Anytime that some young guys listen to an old man talk, that makes us feel good.
All right. So you told us about where you're from in Kinston. So of course you played at Kinston High, correct?
Yeah, played at Kinston High. We had one of the best teams in the state not to win the state championship, man. We were loaded down there at that time, and we had I played with Stackhouse. Guy Charlie McNary, he ended up playing at Carolina. He got some clock there. Webb Tyndall, kid Charlie McNary, that ended up playing. I'm not Webb. Webb played at Carolina also. As a walk-on role. Wesley Collins played at Furman. We had a whole lot of high flyers at that time, and that was when basketball was a little different. All the best kids went to public school at that time. It's a little different now.
Right. One of the things I think about when I think about Kinston is always basketball, man. So what was it like growing up in the kind of the basketball mecca that is, small town Kinston?
It's hard to even explain. I was speaking with someone the other day, and I told them that they really need to have a class there that kind of teaches kids what to do after it's over. Because people don't really know what it feels like. When I was there, it was a little different. We were kind of like rock stars. Imagine the John Wall tournament every game. At our games, and anybody that was there, they'll tell you if you didn't get there by 4:45, 5 o'clock, you weren't going to get in the gym. And I'm talking about we could be playing the School of the Deaf and the Blind, whoever we were playing. If you didn't get there by 4:45, 5 o'clock, you're not going to get in. It's just, our games were just flooded, every game. And it was, you had kids, we were signing autographs. It was just something like you've never seen before at that time anyway. So they go from that to all of a sudden when the season's over and the lights are turned out and all of a sudden you're just this regular person running around, that has to do something to a kid. All of a sudden, I was lucky I got a chance to go to school and, play a little basketball and continue my career. But think about, all of a sudden that kid that's done all those things and he's a star and everybody loves you and you're going in the barbershop and they're, hey, man, what you going to do tonight? I'm going to get 20. And then all of a sudden, you're just going to work at Smithfield's plant and, nobody loves you anymore. That'll do something to a kid. I think you really need to have a class or something like that because it's tough. Oh,
yeah. And see, one of the things I think about when I think about Kinston, though, is the two things that, this is, of course, my opinion from covering Kinston High and being around the area. The thing that really makes Kinston such a great basketball town is, one, you do have a lot of those guys staying around and training the younger generation and schooling the younger generation on how basketball is to be played. And then two, a gym is always open. You can always find a gym in Kinston.
Yes. You always have a gym open, and there's, it's the exact same thing Biggie said. Either you got a jump shot or you swinging a crack, or you slinging a crack rock. It's right. Nothing. There's nothing else to do. What are you going to do? There's always a court open. When I grew up, we played outside. if you know about Southeast Park and somebody in the 90s or the late 80s about Southeast Park, that was kind of like Freaknik. And I know Freaknik might be a little bit passionate, but that was like a homecoming or something where on Sundays you would go out there and you'd have all the drug dealers, they'd be out and they're betting money on who's going to win this game or that's my young boy. That's my young boy. It's like a car show. All the people from all the military bases would come down, because we had all the clubs and everything. So everybody would just be outside playing, man. It was like people cooking. It was just like a party every Sunday. This just the whole town was going to be there. And and you didn't want to get killed, or you'd be at Holloway and you go in there, you look around, you don't know who you might see. When I was a young kid, you don't know, you might see Mitchell Wiggins in there, or, you had Shaq coming down, or, one of the most unheralded killers that ever come out of Kinston, Tony Dawson. There was some, you go in the gym, and at that time I was so young, I didn't really realize that there was a difference in court sizes. So I would go into the gym at Holloway. Holloway has a small court. So you take 3 big dribbles across half court, you're at the 3-point line. So I'm going to these other gyms and I'm looking at these guys play and I'm like, man, those guys are terrible, man. Guys from my time, man, we step across half court, we shoot from 3. We shoot it, man. They can't play with us. So it was a little different, man. But like you said, the old guys, I can remember Brandon Ingram's dad, Donald Ingram. I can remember him taking me out there, to be just playing against him and him traying me to death, and I'm trying to figure out because everybody's screaming at you, get out there on him, get out there on him. I can remember taking those beatings and getting to the point where I could beat up on the younger kids myself. So I love Kinston. I owe everything to Kinston, man. If you really want to do something, the one thing I could say about that town, especially at that time, is you have a lot of people that'll take you under their wing, man, and make sure that make sure that you're okay. They're gonna make sure you're out of trouble. You every now and then you might teeter on that line a little bit, but that was around the time when your neighbor could give you a beat, So whenever you got too far out of pocket, you didn't have to worry about somebody was going to straighten you up. They wouldn't even tell your mom half the time. They just tighten you up and, you go about your way.
Right, man. So now, of course, me and you earlier were talking off air about playing college ball. Now, you said you played under Coach Dooley. You played for him at his first tenure at ECU?
Yeah, I actually did. I came under Coach Payne, and Coach Dooley ended up getting the job over there, man, at over East Carolina, man. So I was there, man. When I came in, man, we probably had one of the highest rated recruiting classes that ECU had ever had, and it was a different time, just because of the conferences. With that conference realignment stuff, it's really changed a lot of stuff. We were in the conference at that time of like William and Mary and ODU, those guys, VCU. It was a little different. Now, the uphill battle they face, man. There were UConn and Tulane and SMU. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. Wichita State, everybody's laughing at them, but they stay loaded. People don't even really know, man. Wichita State is, if you look at it, I think there's like 4 schools that have won 22 or more games every year for like the last 10 years, and Wichita State is one of them, man. That's a tough conference to be in, and try to win.
Right. So, of course, me and Leica are also both ECU alums, and we talk a lot about ECU, not always in the most positive light. When it comes to ECU basketball. But so how do you think, this era of ECU basketball is different from when Joe Dooley was first there?
I think that, he's learned a lot. And the one thing that I'll say is he's relentless and he wants to win. Now that I will say, he's going to go, but the thing is, he's not really concerned about, I don't know if he's concerned about anybody's feelings. You see, when they came in, to get rid of 11, that's a big number, getting rid of 11. That led the nation. And there are going to be a lot more transfers. So either you're going to come in and you're going to get the job done the way he wants you to get it done, or you're gonna get up out of there, man. It's no, there's no halfway about that thing. You're either gonna come in, you're gonna get it done, or he's gonna, move on to the next guy. And with the way basketball recruiting is going now, man, you got to feed your family. So I can't even get mad at him about that. But I know, with my son, if I had a son and he was getting recruited, I would be real cautious because, you're looking, and anytime a school, they're recycling 11 players, in the course of a year. There's all those players didn't leave because they wanted to leave. I'll just say it like that. So,
I agree. I feel as if, by the way, hi, I'm here as well. I'm making an appearance on the show. But what I was gonna say is, with everything, with all that turnaround, I feel like people have kind of looked at ECU, and there have been some voices of opinion of like how they would, if people would want their kid to like play at their program right now and stuff like that. And I've just kind of heard a lot of chat throughout social media and stuff. So I think with everything that's going on there, they're trying to do something correct, but I mean there's still a long way to go for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. And the thing is with recruiting, the bad part about it is, man, you have a lot of people that are out here and they're giving kids a lot of bad information, man. You have parents that just don't know. If you haven't gone through the process yourself, or have somebody that's really close to you that you can trust, you're gonna get a lot of bad information. One of the biggest things that I looked at, with my oldest son when he was being recruited, I looked at the number of junior college players. Not saying there's anything wrong with junior college players, but the thing is, you come into your junior year and you're thinking that you're ready to have this big year. The guy that was in front of you, he's graduating, and then all of a sudden they throw another junior right on top of your head, and all your clock's gone. Now you didn't have any idea this was going to happen, so you didn't transfer early enough. So now you're sitting here at the end, and your senior year's coming up. You didn't play as much as you wanted to your junior year, and the same thing's about to happen to you. A lot of schools won't take a 1-year transfer, so either you transfer to Division II, or you just kind of sit there and sit on the bench with a mad face and try to cheer your teammates on as much as you can, but your college career is basically over. It's a tough situation. So we actually with him, he actually went to Howard, and they don't really recruit junior college players. So that was, it was a great thing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with junior college players at all, but it's just something that you have to be aware of as a parent when you're going into this thing. Just knowing, if you know what's happening, hey, and it happens, it's cool, but if you're not aware of that, man, you can get stung.
Oh yeah. And so, I was talking about this, exactly what you were just saying about, getting recruited on top of. I was talking about that with Green Central's head football coach, Jay Wilson.
My friend.
Like, yeah.
Friend of the show without being on the show. He's going to be on the show at some point. I know it.
Yeah.
Man, you need to get on Jay's grill, man. Tell him to get that thing cracking.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Hey, I've been saying I need to, once all of the pandemic stuff is gone, just go ahead and put together a big cookout of all the big ENC cookout with a whole bunch of people. Let's do a spades tournament, get the grill going, throw some Anita Baker on. Make it a real, cookout. But yeah, we were talking about this, and he's like, whenever he starts talking to his guys, he's like, okay, yeah, you could go here, and you can be here. You can be there all 4 years, but they're gonna recruit right on top of your head every single year. Every single year, you're gonna have to come back in with fighting for your spot because you are not a main piece in their puzzle for the future.
Nah.
You are one of those middle pieces. You're not an edge. You're not a corner, nothing like that. They might can swap you out versus going to a school where you're going to get to play all 4 years. You're a big part of their plan. You're a key piece in their cog. So, Can you speak to me a little bit more about how important it is to go somewhere where you're important and not where you're just a roster spot?
Well, I can give you a great example of that. Coming in, like I said, from Kinston, man, everything was super hype. I played on the AAU team. We were ranked number 2 in the country. We had, we were loaded. We had Jeff Capel was our point guard. We had Lavelle Moden. He was our 2. We had Jared playing 3. I played 4, and we had this big kid from Goldsboro named Chuck Cornegay playing 5. We were loaded from top to bottom, man. And going in, like I said, we were ready. So of course everybody was getting all these offers. I ended up at Fork Union. So I went to Fork Union, and I was kind of and the only reason I ended up at East Carolina, to be honest with you, is I got homesick. Being at Fork Union, not seeing my family, not having any freedom. I just wanted to get, if there was a college in Kinston, I would have signed, so I just wanted to get close to home. But before I left to go to Fork Union, I went over to Central, and I was just hanging out, and Lavelle was hanging out, so we were just standing over there talking, all the basketball players standing together, and I was looking at Lavelle like, yo, Vel, man, what you doing going D2, dog? You know what I mean? I'm kind of looking down on him a little bit, to be honest with you, because that's when Central was in the CIAA, and I wasn't looking down on him, but I'm trying to figure it out because I know Vel was D1. So I'm like, yo, Vel, what, why are you here? He's like, bro, I'm home. And I'm like, bro, you home? He said, yeah, dog, I'm home. I said, well, that's what's up, man. So I really never thought about it anymore. But now, fast forward, he was a big fish in a small pond. Now, he's coaching over there. They love him, job security. He doesn't have to worry about anything. Whereas, you go to one of these bigger schools, just like, the kid that, that was at Howard, Daniel Bird, tremendous player, man, scored that ball. He led the nation in scoring. When he was at Howard, he was a big fish in a small pond, and he ended up transferring to Tennessee the year before last. And, he had, some success there. He started some games and he played, but he wasn't the guy that he was at Howard. If he stayed at Howard, he'd be coaching there right now. They love him, that was home, but, it's kind of one of those situations where you can go, you got to go where they love you, man. There's a butt for every seat, man. Go where they love you, man. Go, if I could rewind that thing over, I probably would have gone to either HBCU or UNCG. Their coaches were great, and I ended up transferring to Winston-Salem State, man. That was the best experience, man. I had more fun in Winston-Salem State, man. I promise you, I wanted 2 more years.
We know a Kinston kid that's going to have some fun there too. Isaac Parson, he's going to be going there, and Samaj Teal from Farmville Central. Those 2 are going to have a heck of an experience out there, and they're going to be big time at Winston-Salem State. And they both are 2 examples of kids that went not to like the splash Division I school, but like to a school that is the best fit for them and their family, and where they're going to get to play right away and be a part of a great basketball program. So I guess that's my example. Yeah.
And Parsons is tough, man. I've been watching him. His dad, he's my frat brother also, man. We hang out all the time. I had a D1 school call him, call me and ask about him. I called his dad and I said, hey, man, these guys, they're real interested in you. And he talked to Tad, and Tad was like, nah, I'm good. This is where I want to be at, man. The coaching staff, man, the campus, I love it. And yeah, and the one thing I'll say about their staff is they are at the gym. A lot of these coaching staffs, you don't see them. And I'm not picking on anybody, but I am picking on somebody. I don't see many of these coaches that are, in the CIAA. I don't see I don't see many of these coaches that are in the MEAC, at these tournaments. Lavelle, he's there, but you don't really see these coaches out, recruiting these kids. And these kids, man, it's hard for you to make me believe that if you bring a couple of these kids to North Carolina A&T's homecoming or Howard's homecoming and they see how it's going down, that they're not going to sign. And even if they don't sign the first time, when they get in that transfer portal, they're going to remember that, man, listen, that was all right over there.
I think Quay Parker and Tyler May kind of remember that. They're 2 players that were at different schools. Of course, Tyler was at VCU, Farmville Great, of course, and Clay Parker was at Tennessee, I believe.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
Tennessee, and then somewhere else, and then A&T. I forgot where in between was, but they both ended up at A&T, and they both had great seasons. So they do, like, if kids, yeah, I agree with that transfer portal thing. I think if they remember that stuff from like a previous school that they really liked, but they went with a different place, and they're in the portal, they might come back to that school and see if there's a spot available.
Yeah, it's and it takes a little bit to get used to it, especially when you're on that D1 level, because being honest with you now, it's different. It's different. With ECU, we're getting buffets and we're eating steaks and the meal money. They making it rain on you with money, and everything is up. I'm getting a little check. You get a little check for your apartment and everything. Man, black college is a little different, buddy. I'm just being honest with you, man. I can remember after our games at Winston, man, we have at post game you might have a 2-piece dog from Church's Chicken and a Jungle Juice, man. No lie. And it's been sitting there since halftime of the girls' game. Like, no lie. Like, I'm like, man, these collards are a deadly disaster waiting to happen, man. We're gonna blow the dorm up.
The amount of references we've had on the show so far, I love it. Church's Chicken to Freaknik to,
One of the things I remember, I used to cover Barton, quite a little bit when I was in Wilson, and the Dominoes would come at halftime of the girls' game. So you're looking at these guys, they coming up and they picking up their pizzas, and it's all cold. Yeah. It's a little hard, It's some lost the luster of the pizza. Now it's just cheese bread.
It's just that's you're eating pregame. I can remember the first time, the first road trip we were on, and we stopped at McDonald's for pregame. So I'm sitting on the bus and I'm looking around like, I know we getting some gas or something. What are we doing here at McDonald's? And that was the last pregame I ate with my team. I started bringing because there's no way, man, I can function off, burgers and fries. But, it's gotten a lot better now, though. The money's, better. And, I think things have changed with the administration in a lot of these schools. So, they're getting a lot more public funds. So, things are a little different. But, it's still not on the same level as, some of these, some of these big, especially the Power Fives. You have, like, people don't, like, you went to ECU, so you go in the cab at ECU, and I was there, man. You can go through that line 100 times if you want to. You eat till you throw up. Man, I can remember, talking to some of my friends that were at, like, St. Aug and Shaw, and they were like, man, you get to go through the line as many times as you want to. It's like, with us, it's one plate and it's over. That's it. And then, we had like the little galley over there where you could swipe your card and get your, grab a little meal over there. The one right beside Scott Hall downstairs. You can make things happen, man. But man, A&T, when that cab closed 7 o'clock, boy, you better find something to do. You better just try to keep your mind up.
You going back to the dorm having that good old air sandwich.
Yes, listen, that's exactly right, man. I remember one of my best friends, he was at A&T, man, and I went over there and I'm like, man, you got to be kidding. Is this what's going on? But, this I would much rather have that type of thing going on, and be able to, just to feel at home. I'd rather eat a little worse and, be around people that, really, really care about you, or, that are invested in, your life and, what you have going on. Because when I was, at Winston, man, the people there really cared about me. My coaches cared about me, man. I can remember, my grandmother passed while I was there. And just all the love that I felt, man, everybody just took me in their arms, embraced me, man. And my coaches, they came down to the, to my, man, I would, if I did it all over again, I would have been, I'd have been right back at Winston, man. I would have never changed a thing about that.
Right. So when you look at it, going the route of where you fit and going to that route, how hard do you think it can be for some of the kids who might be talented enough to play at that level, but you can't figure out a way to get to those coaches to let you know, hey, I want to come play for your program.
It's definitely difficult. The thing that when I talk to kids, and a lot of times, man, we haven't really hung out, but I'm one of the most blunt and real people that you'll ever meet. Like a lot of times, parents get upset with me because I tell their kids what they won't tell them. You
Oh,
know, I tell them you're not that good, man. You have to make somebody believe that you will. I have to have enough faith in you to believe that you're gonna make sure that I don't get fired and I can feed my family, because that's what a scholarship is. I'm betting that you will help me feed my family. Like, you're gonna help me keep my job, feed my daughter, keep my house from being foreclosed on, make it so that I don't have to move in the next 2 or 3 years. I'm giving you $200,000 to play basketball, and a lot of kids, they really don't understand that. Like, you have to do everything right, especially if you 6'3" and below. There's really no difference in, well, I'm not gonna say there's really no difference, but you can walk in any gym and find a kid 6'2", 6'3" that can dunk. And what's to say that this kid over here 6'2", 6'3", like a kid, like, say for instance, a kid like Roger Ray. Roger Ray is not 6'2", 6'3", but he was a talent. He ended up at Livingstone. He actually played with my oldest at North Raleigh Christian for a year. Their paths, were a little different. They ended up different places at different times. But, why wasn't he D1 coming right out? It's a lot of it has to do with, the way, that you're packaged, man, with what we do. We can take a kid and blow him up and make him a lot more than he actually is. And then he gets to school and it's just such a disappointment. I remember coming out, Deuce, what's the kid? Deuce Bello. Man,
Yeah.
Deuce was like,
That's his teammate. He played with him.
you play with Deuce? You remember Deuce was like that guy, him and Quincy Miller, those guys were like rock stars. I can remember going to camps with my oldest son, and, you had the mics following behind them, and, everybody was, all up.
They had their own YouTube show. It was like a little bit of it was like a 10 episode type. They were doing day in the life videos before others were. They were part of that, and they were big time for a while, and then they took very unique paths. I mean, Quincy left for the NBA, I think, in my opinion, prematurely, and then ended up for a couple of years playing in the league. Of course, he had that infamous crossover moment, but he did play. He does play professionally in Europe still, I believe, in Europe. But Deuce was at Baylor and then transferred to Missouri and then transferred to East Tennessee State for his senior year. So yeah, they took some, and even Ike Nwamu, the third teammate on that great team, that great 2011 team. He was at Cleveland State to start and ended up at UNLV and was in the G League for a while. So they all took some crazy paths after really being at stardom, at the peak of high school basketball stardom for a while.
Yeah, and like you said, man, you going in there, Bishop Daniels jumping all out the gym all over.
Oh my dude, that dude had pogo stick bounce. Facts.
You look at, some of those teams, that team, he had him and him, John, CJ,
Josh
Newkirk, hold on, Dez was killing
Wells,
it.
yeah. Bro, I'm not sure if Newkirk was actually on that 2011 team. I
He
do
was.
remember Newkirk. Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know Dez was there, man. Dez
was tough. He was tough as nails.
Yeah, tough. And then you look at some of the stuff, and just life to throw you a curveball. All of a sudden they have him in some big scandal that he has nothing to do with, find out he's innocent. But, in the mix of all that, it's kind of derailed everything that you've accomplished at your school. And now all of a sudden you have to find another home when you did nothing. It's just crazy. A lot of this stuff is just luck, just having the right person to speak for you. To be honest with you, my oldest son ended up signing with Howard, and the coaches never saw him play. That's that he just had the right people to speak the right words on him, and they signed him. A lot of just and it turned out great, man. I promise you, that's one of the best things that ever happened to him. But you have a lot of coaches that they don't see the players, they don't even know the players. They just hear somebody else say that this player can play, and okay, I'm gonna sign him. You don't even, like I said, they never even saw him play. They just knew that, okay, well, this school offered him, this school offered him, okay, Tulsa offered him, Hampton offered him, okay, they're about another, let's offer him. And that's kind of how it goes. Like the big kid over at QEA, he had no offers. Next thing you know,
Ballard, yes.
One or two big schools offered everybody. Like, it's crazy how many coaches called me asking me what I knew about this kid, and I'm like, I don't know much. All I know is some games he plays 30 minutes, some games he plays 3 minutes. I can't tell you what's going on, but it's it's just different. It's just the luck of the draw. You have kids that might play at like the McCoy kid that played over at Millbrook. Man, he's a big guard. I can't see why every D2 in the country wouldn't be all over him. But
he's so good too, Jalen. He's a lot. He was a big part of their team's success over the last few years, I believe, right?
Exactly. I can't see. I'm looking like, man, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I don't know.
Jalen could definitely play at a high. I think he has Division II offers from what I remember. I think Georgia Southwestern was one of those teams. They're in the same conference as UNC Pembroke, I think, for now, because they're changing conferences. But that's a Peach Belt Division II team that's offered him, and Sam Hood from Millbrook too, I think, also has an offer from there. So there's a lot, because he had a lot of big games. He had a 30-point game against I think some really good teams. So the kid could play.
Like I said, it's crazy. It's just because we're sitting here and we're talking about him, but he has a couple of D2 offers, but every D2 school in North Carolina should be offering him. Every D2 school in North Carolina. I
agree.
Like, what are you looking at? Like, what are you seeing that I don't see?
Schools like Shawan and Barton and Mount Olive should be on him, I think.
Exactly. Like, what are we missing? And he's a good kid too. Because a lot of times when I see stuff like that, I'll go and I'll check their social media accounts and different things just to see. And you can tell the ones that are knuckleheads. And he's a good kid, but it's just I can't call it, man. But every D2 in the country should be on him.
Yeah. Right.
I'm a knucklehead, by the way. So
get out of here, man. One of the things too I look at when you're talking about coaches calling you and things of that nature is how difficult is it for you to be able to tell kids, I can't speak for you. How difficult is it for you to have to let them know that reality?
Man, and that's the thing. I'm blatantly honest, man. With my kids, man, I get into it. I have a little young team that I coach, a little 6th grade team, man. I tell them all the time, man, listen, man, if I got to really, really love you to tell that lie for you. I'll tell that lie for you if I love you now. I ain't gonna lie to you. I get a coach in the gym for you now. But if they're only about 3, I'm just being straight up honest with you. And I'm saying this on camera. They're about 4 kids that I deal with. And I'll tell a lie for them. But the rest of these kids, man, I'm just gonna tell them, man, if you didn't work hard, that's on you. You're in the house, man. You're on your Xbox, and that's the thing that's killing kids right now, man. That PlayStation, Xbox, man. You can't spend 3, 4, 5 hours a day on that and then think you're gonna be nice when you get out there. Like, people don't even really, that it makes you tired. Like, you can't, like, I'm telling, like, I played Atari 2600, man. I was out there, man. I had that joystick, man. I'll be exhausted by the time I get up, beating that button, man. My thumb's sore from tapping that one button, like, and that wasn't a lot to it. You thinking you got to hit 900 buttons, and my youngest son is in the room acting like he's in a brawl. I'm about to call the police. He's in there yelling and screaming in the thing. I'm thinking something's wrong. It takes a lot of energy to do that, man. And you gotta take some of that and take that outside in the driveway, man. Dribble a little bit, man. A lot of these kids have never played in the dirt. Have you, what, man? Get you, I came in every day. The top of my socks were brown and the bottom were white when I take off my shoe because we've been kicking up so much dust. It's just, you know, just the work, man. Just is there's a whole lot that goes into it, and then everybody wants to work out with a trainer. Man, you need to get out. Like the funniest thing ever is watching. Like I took my little crew. I had my little couple of little guys. I took them to the gym and let them play pickup. They didn't even know how to play pickup, man. Like that's crazy. You're in the 6th grade. You're in middle school and you don't know how to play pickup. Like you don't know how to walk into the gym and sit there and say, "Yo, I got next." That was something that was standard operation. You go to the gym, you sit there, you say, "I got next," and then you go, you play. If you lose, you get next again.
That's interesting. When I play pickup, it's always if somebody said they got next, you gotta go ask them, "Hey, can I run with you?"
Yeah. They don't.
I'd be the one that just gets just waits for no reason because of that. And yeah, I wasn't one to really call next whenever I play pickup. I'm not gonna lie. I just pick me up.
Hey, see, I'm not a great basketball player. So you know what I do? I go with a great basketball player, and then that way he'll like, "Hey, I got on the court. This my man's. He running with us." Or either I'm not running.
Yeah, that's my man. But that's the thing. You at least the procedure.
Yeah.
They don't even know the procedure.
You know the way to finesse your way onto the court. That's at least.
You gotta know how to at least get on the court.
Yeah.
You can't win the game if you're not playing.
I mean,
exactly. And then a lot of the kids, they don't understand. And I know. Is AAU has a lot to do with it because you play 4 games in a day. So if you lose one, you're like, man, I'll win the next one. I'll win the next one. When we were growing up, man, so you mess around and lose in that gym in Kinston.
You're gonna be waiting for a while, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting, or you're gonna have to go play on the little boy court. You want to go down the little boy court.
True. Man, in Goldsboro, the big thing would be come to the Y on Sunday. We getting in here around 12. The Y closes at 6. You lose the first. Say you get there first and you get out of the game. Shoot, you lose at around 1 o'clock. You might not get back on to about 3, 4 o'clock. You in a group. You went down to the court 3 just to stay warm.
Exactly. At Spears Y in Greensboro, man. I mean, from my freshman, from 6th grade on, it was the exact same way. 12 to 6 on Sundays, like you said, for the Y. And I've had plenty of those.
And it's going hard. And then the problem will be for you if you lose early on is the real killers coming around too. So then
exactly.
The real killers.
So you scared? You trying to get back on the court before they get there because you already know.
Yeah, exactly. For this 9th grade kid who's playing JV, I'm talking about me here. So for this kid, it's not as good as everyone else. I have to keep winning to stay on, and I feel like kids have to learn that feeling of going to the Y and losing and trying to find.
There's nothing worse than losing at the Y once and sitting for 4 hours waiting for the next.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Because the problem is boom. All right, so somebody comes in, I got next. And then they come in, hey, can I run? Another person come in, can I run with you? Nah, I got next.
And they come in with their friends too, so they got a team of 5 ready.
Yeah.
So they pull up with 5.
Oh, and don't let the really good players come in there and get going and get real competitive. It's we're gonna run that one back.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's nothing you can do. And see, I grew up with the guys I grew up with, they'll fight you. So, you had to, it was a little different, man. You don't know, Jared's brother, Tony and them, man, they were older than us, man. I used to hate them. But they were just scores, but they had, and that's another thing, with basketball, you have to have a little bit of just, chip on your shoulder. You have to be a little bit of, just pardon my language, of ass, because there's only one ball out there. So who's gonna go get that ball? Then who's gonna take that last shot? we had, you come into the gym, man, we fight. When I was at Kinston, man, we might rumble in the locker room with our own team. Just
Oh yeah.
you didn't if you didn't make your assignment, you missed something on defense, or you out here tripping. We in the locker room arguing and fight, but we loved each other. But we were gonna hold each other accountable. To make sure you did what you were supposed to do. We go in like just in just a regular pickup game. We lost, man. We were hurt. Like our feelings were hurt. We went somewhere because we would drive to Goldsboro to play you guys if we could play before the fight started. Just that was our thing on Sunday. We just drive around, just finding places to play. On Saturdays, but like I said, Sundays we were at our park. But every other day during the week, you're going out just playing, trying to see who's supposed to be better than you.
Oh yeah. And see, that's one of the things too that I talk about. I don't like the fact that these kids don't like to lose. These kids don't mind losing.
And they duck that wreck. Like these kids duck that wreck, man. Like how, if, the one thing now, the thing, because like last week, there was a lot of stuff that was said, because, Stack said some stuff about, when he was in with the Wizards, Jordan, he was better than Jordan. He was, it's, you're taking a look at like, he had that competitiveness in him. Like he was just going to compete, if you wanted to fight, whatever you wanted to do, this is what we're going to do, but we're going to get it in out here. When he went to the Wizards didn't sign him because he was, the Wizards didn't sign him because he was, Robin. He beat him 4 times in a row the year before. Go back and look at it. Him and Rip Hamilton took 4 L's. They were 0-4 against Stack. So, they hired him, they traded for him to be the man. And then you come in and you're not the man anymore. Man, I really would have hated to be a fly on the wall in that locker room because I know, Jordan's an alpha male and I know my man's an alpha male. I already know there was some paint coming down off those walls a whole lot of days.
Yeah. Yeah, and see that's the thing. You gotta want to have that will to fight.
Yeah.
Like I remember I had a teammate, Rico McCarter. He went to go play at VCU.
Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
Probably before this last crop of really good kids, he was probably the highest rated to come out in a long time from Goldsboro as far as big college offerings. But he had a little brother. I remember one time they were the 2 best players in the rec. And, his younger brother chose to say, I'm going to be the other captain. I'm going to, you may be my older brother, but I'm still going to come right at you as if you were somebody on the street because that's the way competitive, you have to build that competitive fire.
Yeah, exactly, man. I can remember nights going down to the Smith Center, man. This was like in the 90s, like mid 90s, late 90s. We go to the Smith Center and, you go in there at like 9:30. We played like 1 o'clock in the morning, man. And you in there and, man, just to see just the competitive, but you saw who had it and who didn't now. Because, like, you could really tell a lot about what the season was going to be like for Carolina. Because, Jerry was going to come in there and he was going to bully you. So you were going to see if, who had heart and who didn't. You have nights, man, where you have Shammond Williams up in there and, Brendan Haywood, Jordan walk in the door, and he thinks he's going to run it when he gets in there. And Donald Williams, listen, man, Jerry, he didn't want to lose to Jordan. Jordan didn't want I remember one night, man, Jordan went crazy in there. Because somebody on his team, I can't remember who it was, but they made a pass. I'm not going to name the guy's name because he's famous, but they made a pass to a big that couldn't handle the pass. And he said, what was that, KYFP? And I'm like, what does KYFP mean? And I'm going to let you know your personnel. I'm just going to leave it to you like that. Just basically telling them, everybody, that pass ain't meant for everybody, But he was just that competitive where he didn't want to lose in there in pickup. Now we just this is pick, but it was just like we were in the Final Four in there. These guys, feel some type of way. Ed Coder and all those guys, man. They didn't. The young guys, man. Like when Sean May and them won that championship. Oh man, listen, they were waiting for the old guys to come back. Like because they wanted to let Rashid and them guys know. Listen, we got one.
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, we brought this one back.
You're telling this to the biggest Carolina fan I know. So, like,
I'm a huge Carolina fan. I ain't got no problem letting them know.
He's back on the bandwagon now that Styles is coming.
Hey. Just because I only watched one game this year,
I'm just
doesn't mean I'm not on. Hey, look, Dayron coming this year.
He has signed a 2-year contract. Sharp and Styles are coming. He's on a 2-year deal now.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And see, that's the thing where I'm getting at too. The reason why I love when Carolina signed those guys is because talking with those guys, you can tell there's a different type of competitive energy around them, and there's a different type of way that they approach the game. They approach it with pros mentality already, and that's really what I love about both of those kids. It's not they're both dominant, they're both great basketball players, but the way that they approach the game of basketball isn't of the average high schooler.
Yeah, and the thing I like about those signings is they understand. Like, if you don't understand, like, they're from here. They understand what Carolina means. They understand. It's not like they're going, and Kentucky's a great school, but somebody from North Carolina, they don't understand the Kentucky-Louisville rivalry. They don't understand that. But if you're from right here, you understand, man. Listen, we're going to bang out whatever we got to do, man. You want to hit me with an elbow, I'm going to punch you in your mouth. Whatever we got to do, we got to have this W because it means more than what the actual score is. Man, there are people going to be talking about this for 30 years from now. This is a huge game. So that's the thing that I kind of like about signing those guys. You have great guys like, and nothing against the guys they had over there last year, but man, come on, man. I'm not, but come on, man. You went way over there to get what? When you had all this right here, you had a Cone kid right there in Kernersville. He came in here and drilled you, hit like 7 threes. You missed him, and then you're gonna go bring me this? And I'm not, trying to pick out any kids or anything like that. But come on, man. Stay home. We could have got that at the house.
And Jalen's one of the best shooters in America this past season at VT. So, I mean, he's a kid I've known, and I've known I've known the Cone family for a while. They just have athletes coming out of that household. It's crazy.
Right. Now, of course, you talk about, you could have stayed right here. There's always this hot debate about how important it is for North Carolina coaches to recruit this state in particular. Where do you sit on how important it is for coaches to go out and get guys in their backyard?
You have to, man, because like I said, they understand the rivalries. They understand the importance of this thing, man. And a lot of times, man, when you're a lot more apt to stay at a school if you're from that area because you have family support. When things go bad, you're not thinking, man, I'm trying to get back to Milwaukee, or I'm trying to get here, or I'm trying to get there. And I really, just being honest with you, I don't even understand what Carolina's been doing with recruiting the last couple of years, man. Like the Francis kid, that was nice, but I'm just gonna put it like this. Francis, you offered him like his sophomore, the beginning of his junior year. Why it take so long for you to offer Styles then? Like, what sense does that make, dog? Where am I confused at? Now, if I'm gonna offer him and his sophomore year, and he's from across the country somewhere, and I got a kid right here in my backyard, why am I gonna wait to his right before his senior year to offer him? But like, where we do that at? And I'm just honest with you, man. I don't see the thought process in it, man. I'm gonna offer, like, Styles would have had that offer from day one. I could see, Duke is a machine. They're signing kids left, right every year. So I can see them kind of trying to wait and see what's going on and filling it out because they know they're gonna get 4 or 5 out of the top 100 every year. Cool. So they're not really worried about it. But Carolina's not really been recruiting on that level. This is probably the best recruiting class that they had. If they can catch that kid Kerwin out of Milwaukee, they'll probably be number one. But I'm hoping, I ain't gonna lie, man, don't get mad at me, but I want him to sign with Vanderbilt, man, so we can go ahead and get to this tournament next year.
Need stack in the tournament, yeah.
Right. And see, the thing about it is, going back to the ECU thing, that has always been my thing about ECU. I look at ECU right now and, going to there, covering sports there, ECU basketball is way down on the totem pole when it comes to sports. It's like football here, baseball here, You can come all the way down here. That's where the men's basketball team has been at, and it's been like that for some time now. And I look at it and I say, I can understand missing on in-state players, but the fact of when they miss on out-of-state players is where it's kind of like you're gonna miss on if you're gonna miss on an out-of-state player, who's gonna come watch that?
Nobody.
Who's gonna, how do you tell your fans to keep coming and they don't know who this guy is? This guy's a newbie. He doesn't know the campus. He hasn't been around this area versus I can live with if you miss on, say, if you miss on Soldier. If you miss on Soldier, I can understand if you miss on him because at least, hey, that's a Pitt County kid. He's from right here in his backyard. His people still coming to fill up the gym. There's still an atmosphere around it. There's still some feelings around it versus when you go out of state.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, like better follow Keats, man. His blueprint right now is he's like, man, I'm not going to be able to compete with you all over the country, but I'm gonna run North Carolina. I'm gonna run. And his assistant coach went down to UNC Wilmington. You see, he's picked up the same program. Coach
Sickle is offered in-state, and he's got in-state players coming in. He just offered Elijah Jameson today and Bobby Pettiford yesterday. So he's going aggressive after North Carolina kids right now.
If Bobby Pettiford, man, that would be the steal. That's a whole lot of man there, man. If he gets Bobby Pettiford, and I know
a road runner with a basketball.
Oh yeah, he's tough. And then and I know Lavelle's gonna come. Lavelle's looking at kids
absolutely.
like that. He's come. The Justin Watts kid. As a matter of fact, he reminds me of an old ECU point guard, a guy named Ronell Peterson that was back there back in the day from out of Aiden Grifton. Like those two, they really, really, really remind me of each other. Just tough, man. Get it done. Gonna make all the plays when they're gonna make that play when you need that play to be made. I really can't understand it, man. I'm North Carolina's basketball. This is like you said. This is basketball country, man. If I'm looking for a player, they're saying that we're down right now, but you look, we got the Dunn kid is sitting right here in your backyard. As a matter of fact, not to get off subject, how did that kid from Florida State? How did he get out of here? He's about to be a first round draft pick. How did he get out?
Patrick Williams, yes. Patrick was at West Charlotte, class of 2019, and was sixth man of the year in the ACC, and is now projected to go probably late first round, early second. And he's Josh Level Classic alum, by the way. He's ridiculous. Like when I saw him play at the John Wall last year, and then at States, I know they lost States to South Central, but I just saw him and was like, yeah, this dude's gonna be in the NBA in like 2 years.
I
don't know how the North Carolina schools let him get away. It's ridiculous.
And with Scotty Barnes coming there, he kind of had to make a move. And I definitely understand him going to the league. Because that was going to be, that's going to be tough. It can go either way. But how did he get out of North Carolina, man? There's no way he should have gotten out of North Carolina.
You know how Leonard Hamilton recruits? He recruits rangy, athletic wings and freakishly athletic big men. That Quincy Ballard is the prototypical Florida State big. It was a no-brainer. And Scotty Barnes is the type of wing that Hamilton likes. Guys like Monte Brandon and I know Ian Miller's a guard, but he was a really athletic guard. He recruits players that have rangy size, 6'8", with a 7-foot wingspan, and it's just so players like that can get away if you recruit aggressively like Leonard Hamilton does for the type of players he likes for his program, and it's worked.
I just don't see how you let him get away though.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I saw him play once at the John Wall, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a man amongst.
Oh yeah, he was cooking at the John Wall.
Yeah.
It's like the kid at Village Christian, Xavier McLean, him going all the way to Columbia. How do you let that kid get all the way to New York?
He has a podcast, by the way.
Yeah, he has a podcast now. I believe Charles Clark was on it. So
yeah, Xavier better have one of us on. I like that I like that. I know this is off subject, but I like that he's done that. That's pretty cool.
You talking about the podcast?
Just like a kid that is a big prospect having a podcast like that. Maybe it's like something new. Like it's really unique, and I think it's pretty cool. That's my on that. But sorry to stay off subject, guys.
I like, I'm with you on that. I like the fact that, he can speak and, express himself and, Columbia. If a kid's going to somewhere like Columbia, I can see that, man. 'Cause, you go to a school like that, just, high academic school like that, man. I can't knock it. Now, if they had lost Williams to Columbia, he went to Columbia instead of Carolina or Duke or somewhere like that. Yeah, I got you. But you can't lose him to a school in your same conference, man. That's 500 miles away. It's just you can't, man. That's your kid. You got to have him. That's just my opinion. But there's no way he gets out the state, man. I'm coming to see him, and a lot of times, these coaches, man, they just don't, they don't do the legwork. I can remember, what's the Montgomery kid that's over at Kentucky. I can remember, actually, making a couple of calls to reach out, to the coaches over at Carolina about him. Like, he really liked Carolina. So I reached out, and they're like on some type of time, like, yeah, well, we're going to look into it, and we'll probably try to get at him. Man, you need to drive your car there today. He's gotten 21 offers today. And he likes your school. What are you thinking? You don't have a 6'10" that can play with him right now. So he's a McDonald's All-American. What is there to think about? Like, what are we thinking about?
What are we doing?
Yes.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I just can't. I can't figure it out, man. I guess that's why they make the big bucks. They know more than me, man. So I don't know.
But here's the thing. On the subject of this, Noah Farrakhan choosing ECU, I think like he has a huge national fan base that it seems that people seem to like him a lot for I'm not sure what the reason is, but he's like really
the hype machine got behind him, man.
Yeah.
Huh?
The hype machine, like he was talking about earlier, where you could hype these kids up and build up their profile. The hype machine built that kid up.
But he's actually good, though.
He's actually. I'm sure he's good. But the thing about it is, when you look at it, though, it's another one of those situations for me. If he flops in college, are people still going to care as much? Because Slam Magazine, they go away after high school. They don't keep on you in college unless you're really, really good.
How many kids do you know that average less than 10 points in the country that has that much hype behind
them? Good question, sir. Good question there. I prefer not to speak.
And I'm not sure if he averaged less, but I would love to get his averages, man. Because like I said, I saw the whole John Wall tournament, and I really didn't see it. And I'm not saying because I saw some stuff and he was talented. Now, don't get it twisted.
He did hit some big shots against Farmville to bring them back in the game.
Huge shots. But shit, they cheated Farmville, man. I don't care what nobody say. They cheated Farmville, man. I saw push Justin White.
I thought they had it. I really felt it was usually when it's a lead like that with that amount of time left, and Farmville, with how great their program is, 99 times out of 100, it's game over. And I guess the one time just happened to be there. Like they hit a lot of really big shots in timely moments for sure. But yeah.
They hit some big shots, man, but I would go back and watch the last 3 minutes of that game, man. There were a couple, man. I saw Justin Watts get mugged. They pushed him all out.
Right. Oh my goodness.
It's kind of one of those things, especially those tournaments, man. There's certain teams they want to see in that championship game, and Farmville was there. They were going to be the sacrificial lamb, but they weren't up for being the sacrificial lambs. Farmville won that game, man. You say whatever you want to, but I saw it. Farmville. They took that game from Farmville, man, because they made some big shots. Like, I became a huge fan, and it's hard for me to be a Farmville fan when I'm from Kinston. But, man, listen, man, Watts and man, them boys go hard. I can't do nothing, but I can't do anything but appreciate how hard they play, man.
Yeah, absolutely. They play with the toughness of a team from the 252.
That
They had, like, you ask any one of those kids, they don't actually have it tatted on them, but the 252 is somewhere on their left arm, like just right there ingrained, like so that they're like tough, you know.
yeah.
And 252 toughness, man.
Yeah, man. See, I'm from the 252, but I was there when it was the 919, so I don't know.
Yeah,
They'll let me get the tattoo.
Good point.
Yeah. Because one of the things I want to touch on with you right here, you talked about a little bit about Goldsboro. You know, I'm from Goldsboro. You know, even as someone who didn't go to Goldsboro High, I knew about the Goldsboro High and Kinston High rivalry. Talk to me about what that was like playing in it, you know, back in really the heyday of it.
Well, to be honest with you, we used to play Easton Wayne when they had the big kid, Mike Sweeney, and those kids. Like, we didn't really get to play Goldsboro. That was our biggest rivalry. Was New Bern. You know, that was really, and I don't know why, but that was like our biggest rivalry, New Bern, and you know, all the Wilson schools, because it ended up the Big East 4A. Around the time I got there, that's when everything switched over. So they had like Northeastern was in our conference. You had Bedingfield. You had Wilson Fike, man, and that was a show. You had Wilson Hunt.
So I think that was when Goldsboro had to go down and play all the Wilmington schools from that point on.
Yeah, man.
And everything.
But the Big East 4A, man, you can say whatever you want to. That was the best. That was the best conference in the state, man. Every team had D1s. There was no team in that conference that didn't have D1. Like I'm talking about from the worst to the best. Like Northern Nash had D1s, Rocky Mount had D1s. You know, you had Octavius Barnes and Boykins over there at Hunt, Bedingfield, and then you had Jamie Watson, man. Like he was a one-man show. Like that was the first real deal guy. You know, if you've never seen I wish somebody had film on just a Wilson Fight game. Like they were so Coach Harvey Reed was so official. People like the other team would stop warming up to watch them warm up. Like that's how crazy it was. It was like everything was so uniform. They come out and they run some kind of weave, and you look around, and Jamie Watson would come out of nowhere and touch the top of the backboard and just drop it in the man. Like then they're throwing the pants off, and they got these hot warm ups. Like if like all the social media stuff had been out at that time, they would have been number one in the world. It was just crazy. I can remember, man. I was young. This was my first 4 or 5 games at Kinston High. So we walk in the gym, right? So everybody's talking about, Jamie Watson. So, you know, we're running around. We already, you know, we're undefeated at that point, man. I'm going down to New Bern. You know, I had my picture on the front page of the paper. You know, I got the color picture. They don't even do that much. So I'm feeling, I'm really feeling myself right now. So I saw, you know, Jamie Watson, he walks into the gym. And everybody's pointing and whispering. And I'm like, man, who, him? That? Man, they don't know who we are, man. I don't even know what they talking about, man. They need to recognize and know who we are, man. You better bow down. So game starts. First quarter, he goes scoreless. I'm talking about scoreless, doesn't hit a bucket. I can remember like it was a movie. This guy out of the crowd, because Jerry was checking him the first quarter. The guy at the crowd says, "You're doing a good job out there, number 42. So I look at Jerry and I'm like, yo, Jay, they don't know who we are, man. I don't even know what these old clowns talking about, man. We them dudes. The next thing I know, he goes on to give us 43 points in 3 quarters. I said, God, with a broke finger on his shooting hand.
Dang, yo, that's crazy.
43, like 43.
Did y'all lost?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
They were the number 1 team in the state at that time. They ended up, I think they played Rodney Rogers in the semis to go to the state championship, and then they ended up winning. But, man, Jamie, he wiped Rodney Rogers, man. I'm talking about he killed Hillside. Man, Jamie was that guy. Like, you know Rod Bridges. If you ask Rod will tell you now. Because Rod's from Wilson. He'll tell you, man. Jamie Watson was that guy. He was that guy. He was that one guy that I really said, yeah, I got to respect him. And Melvin Brooks out of Northeastern, but Jamie Watson, man, he was different, man.
Right.
I don't know how he got
Rodney,
broke out.
give the Wilson lesson. I'm sure he's got plenty of really good stories on that. But yeah, that is a heck of a story. Just Todd's reaction just
Hey, that is a beautiful moment in basketball. Those are the times when you look back. Those are always your best stories. We are like, okay, we're going up against this big team. We hype, we ready. They can't handle us. Oh yeah, and then boom, they take a dump on your head, and you're like, well, we gotta play them again.
It was a good run there. It was a good run.
We didn't even want to play them again. I think, cause we were like young, we were like freshmen and sophomores around that time, and they were senior. I can remember one time he was talking to Coach Reed. He was standing at the hash, like the little hash on. So we're standing back and we're waiting for him to come, because we're waiting for him to get close to the 3-point line. He just holds up his finger like, hold on one second, coach, and just pulls and shoots the three, hits number bottles, and he start back talking to the coach like yo. I was like, yo, this guy's different, man. But later on, man, but Jerry, man, he really, like some of the stat lines, like I see some of these guys now, and I have like newspaper clippings of stat lines. Like Jerry would put up 44 and 26 rebounds and 8. Like he was triple, like just stupid numbers. Like, and I see some of these kids and they're coming in with this 26 and 7, acting like they killed the world. Man, get one of these stat lines, man. Just being able to play with somebody that's, on that level, man, the type of stuff that he did every day during practice, man, is like, that's why I'm, a lot of times when I look at these kids, I'm impressed, but I'm really not that impressed, man. I'm just being honest with you.
Hey, honesty is we love honesty on the show.
Yeah.
Especially brutal honesty.
I saw a kid get that type of game before.
Who was that?
This kid this year, Devin Brown, he put up 31 and 27.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
31.
Not for one incredible shot by Jaquise McClain, he would have been the hero of that night.
Yeah.
Because Eastern Wayne, because Goldsboro ended up they ended up winning in overtime, and they had they tied the game at the buzzer with that three that I just mentioned from McClain, and they ended up winning that game. Devin had the game of his life. Goldsboro still found the way. It's just a great rivalry. That rivalry is a great one.
Right.
Yeah. That, man, I would never go to one of those games, but back in the day, man, because you had to get in. There was a fight coming out of there.
Yeah.
That's
exactly where the fight was going to be and when it was going to happen. It was going to be right after the game.
Right. Now the one thing I do want to, we're running close to out of time here. We've been going for a long time, but one thing I want to get into with you is, how do you feel about it seems to me a lot of time when I look at a lot of recruiting, production doesn't get factored in as much as it should. How do you feel coaches kind of evaluate production, and do you feel like they factor it in enough?
I don't. I really don't. Just speaking with, just being around the game and speaking with a lot of coaches, and just from what I see, a lot of times kids don't know how you get those buckets makes a lot of difference. You have this kid and he's averaging 30. So let me give you an example, because I don't want to call any names. But you have a kid that, they're playing, a whole bunch of small schools, So, okay, 9 times out of 10, the kid that was checking you, he ain't right. That ain't what you're going to see when you get in college. You're going to see something that's dead ready. So you're 5'11", between 5'11" and 6'1". So you're getting 27. So you got 6 points off putbacks. You got another 8 points where you just basket hanging and you caught 3 or 4 layups on the break or on the back end of the press. They're not pressing in college, man. So you're not going to get a whole bunch of those. So that 8 points don't count. The 6 points that you got off offensive rebounds, those don't count, because you're not going to get an offensive rebound in college. So you're already down to 13 right there, Then you penetrated through the lane and you scored 3 times. You only hit 2 jumpers and 1 3. So really the college coach is looking at like, you had 7, man, because you're not going to break down a whole bunch of defenses and penetrate and finish on that 6'11" in there. It's not going to happen, man. You watch a college game and you're not seeing a whole bunch of people breaking down somebody off the dribble and finishing in the half court. So, college coaches are looking at that. And then who can you guard? It's not what position you play means what position can you guard. A lot of, I hear a lot of these kids out here getting hyped up, but if you can't check anybody, perfect example, Adam Morris. Who could he guard? He couldn't guard anybody in the league. He got it off, in college, but when he got to the league, he can't guard. They can't hide you in that zone all of a sudden, man. So, if you're going to go to, I can't really like it. ECU, that's a junior college situation, really, man. There's a lot of JUCOs in that league, a lot of athletes in that league with the SMU and the Wichita State. So, if I send you out there and you can't move your feet, even though you might have averaged that 20-something in high school, you ain't gonna get that off. If I see you do it at Garner Road and I see you playing at top level talent, then cool, I can believe it. But if I see you out there, man, and I ain't gonna name no schools, but if you doing it, and the center on that other team is 6'2", I can't. You're gonna have to go D2 or JUCO and show me that again. Chris Clemens. Chris Clemens, stone cold monster in high school, but a lot of schools but he proved everybody wrong. But he's a perfect example of getting caught out there in the mix of just production versus trying to figure out who he can guard.
Right, and I do think that is a tough thing for kids to kind of gauge. Like, oh man, I'm all county, I'm all this, I'm all that. I'm 20 points a game. I'm the man. I'm leading my team. And boom, I can barely get a JUCO offer.
It's different now, man. And don't take this the wrong way, but it's watered down. I'm just being straight up with you. It's watered down, man. When I was coming up, I was one of the first kids. Well, I'm gonna say I was the first kid in Kinston to play AAU. There was no AAU. Everybody didn't have an AAU team. We used to drive all the way to Raleigh to play AAU. A coach came from Raleigh. He drove all the way to Raleigh. He picked Jerry and I up, and we would drive back to Raleigh to play amongst elite players. Now you have tournaments, man, and it's a money grab. To be honest with you, it's a big money grab. So you're over here and you got 100 kids in the gym. Not taking a shot at anybody, but I was at a Big Shots tournament this summer. Last summer, I'm sorry. And they had about 2 teams in there that had some, a couple of guys in there that could play. So they were about 10 scouts in there. All 10 of those scouts, all they're doing is following those 10 kids right there. So they already basically know what they're looking for. If you're on one of those other teams, man, it's gonna be tough. There was one kid from down your way, man. He averaged about 40 points or something. He played for WCBA. I think he ended up going junior college or something. He played at one of the private schools, man. He averaged a lot of points last summer. I can't remember what his name was, but like I said, I know. As a matter of fact, Chuck Cornegay was down here because he coached at a JUCO up in Pennsylvania, so he was down here actually recruiting the kid. But I can't figure out because he was at a private school, so I'm guessing he had grades, but he put up a lot of points, man. And like I said, that production didn't. He's a guard, probably about 6'2", 6'3", because that was my first time really seeing him.
I think he played for Harold's Christian. I think that's
it wasn't Harold. I can't remember. The next time we talk, I'm going to give you his name. But he's a perfect example because he averaged over 30.
Yeah.
Averaged
over. He's not. Never mind. I don't really want to call any kids' names out on this.
Yeah, but he was, like I said, he was tough. I don't know why he didn't get more looks. You putting up 30. But like I said, I never saw him play in high school. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just heard he was putting up 30. I don't know how he might have got to 30 the same way I was just talking about. Running up and down, pressing. You just have, like I said, you have to look at how the college game is played, man. It's not who's pressing in college. You might.
Not very many teams.
But everybody else, you're gonna get down in your stance and try to guard in the half court. It might be a little bit more pressure here and there, but everybody has ball handlers. So you get out there and start trying to press in college, man. With these athletes, man, you're gonna get run up out of the gym, man. You better get in your sets and hope they can't hit jump shots. So if you got a kid out there that's used to being in a system where they're doing a whole lot of pressing and he's catching layups on the back end of that, and that's 6 points of that, and a whole bunch of putbacks and a whole bunch of dribble penetrations, and you taking advantage of guards that can't really handle and ripping them, man. If you got me out there, I'm 100 years old. You ripping me and taking it to the cup and scoring, man. That ain't getting you no points, man. So is the production part of it, is cool, but you got to look at who you're doing it against. So you're really playing a high level schedule. What the kid over at Hillside, Trey put up a lot of points, man. Did a lot of good stuff. And, I've talked about, Trey Cruz, man. I love his game, man. I love what he does, man. But, I'm if you don't get over there to that Glaxo and drop that 25 against Mount Verde or Farmville or somebody, or being in one of these big tournaments, man, nobody's really going to believe it. I believe it because I've seen the kid. I know what he can do. But he didn't get to those big tournaments, man. So a lot of it, man, is on your coaches, man. If your coaches don't put you in situations, a lot of times the coaches don't want to take that chance of getting embarrassed, man, because you got a chance that you might get embarrassed by going to these tournaments. So, you try to play these same teams that you're used to playing, man, instead of, putting your kids out on that national level. And then they get mad at the kids because they go run off and play with this AAU team because they're trying to get exposure, It's not a perfect system, man. So you just have to kind of work in the confines of what you got, man.
Right. Got two last questions here. I know we got to get out of here. We're running close to an hour 30. But the transfer portal, man, is huge right now. How do you think that affects, high school basketball and the way recruiting goes for those kids?
Man, it's gonna be terrible. And I'm just being honest with you. If you're a top 100 kid or a top 200 kid, you're gonna be okay. But the other kids, man, it's just gonna be a bad situation, and especially with them taking out, you having to sit out a year. I talked to, and I would never name a name, but I've talked to coaches who have actually told me that they schedule games with schools that they know they have a 25-point score that they like. So they'll schedule a game with them so that they can bring them on campus. It's kind of like an unofficial visit. You bring them on campus. They get to see your locker rooms. They get to see your calf. You feed them. You let them come around and see this big school. And then the next thing you know, you go recruit them. And then once they take that year out, you don't have to sit out anymore. Do you think, and I'm not saying for sure, but a player like Ja Morant, do you think he would have ended up at Murray State as his last year? If everybody knowing who he's going to be all of a sudden, man, Duke and Carolina and all those guys are coming, and you can just pack your stuff up, drive to Durham, and all of a sudden you're playing in the Final Four instead of, that's tough, man. It's going to really be tough, man, because if I already, like I said, you don't even have to take a chance anymore. You know what you got. You seen this kid and you like, man, I just need somebody to patch a hole right now that can average me 7 or 8 points. So I'm gonna patch this hole real quick with him. The rest of my team is made. I get 2 of these kids, they're already juniors. If they flop, I'm only committed to them for 2 years. So I'm gonna take that chance. Body's already developed. I already know exactly how he's gonna react because I have college film on him. High school kids, man, it's gonna be rough for them, man. So they're gonna be a lot. The prep schools are gonna be leaned on a lot more. Like I said, a lot more low major schools and D2 schools are gonna get poached, man. A school like UNCG or UNC Asheville or a school like that. Not naming them because those are great programs, but they're gonna actually turn in. I could really see them turning into like AAA baseball, minor league affiliates where you just go in and you build this kid up to give him to Carolina or Duke, and they say thank you. Hopefully they give you a playing game or something and a check. But that's basically, that's about what we're looking at.
And yeah, and I said when I saw the way the rules are going, I'm like, I look at it. There's gonna be a lot less high school kids being able to sign those D2. And those even low D1 type of offers, you're going to have to go JUCO so that you can have some film against college players before you to even get to a D2 or a low D1.
Or you're gonna have to go to a good prep school. You're gonna have to get to a prep school that
post grad.
Yeah, and play a real schedule. Go to one of those schools that's out there like on the grind session or something like that, so they can really see you playing against some of the top competition, man. But people think, JUCO ain't light work. JUCO, man, you over there.
Yeah, there's some dogs out here in the junior college ranks. So yeah, so it's just really the portal is just, I don't know, man. It's just how many people are in there? Like 800 transfer in the transfer portal or something?
Yeah. And I would love to know how many scholarships out there, period, that are available. And then you go on JUCO, man. You looking around, that guy that's 28 that ain't been doing nothing for the last couple of years. You can just go to, JUCO. You can just go to Wayne Community or Johnson Community or Lenore Community and just say, I'm coming to school, man. 28. You running around, you 18 years old, man. He got kids over there in the stands and everything, man. He's a grown man. That's a different kind of bump, and a lot of these kids aren't built for it. I had a lot of friends that went JUCO, man. You in there, you getting beat up, people stealing your money, because you got, like I said, it's older kids, man. You just came, you straight off your mama bra. You ain't you don't know nothing. It's a different kind of bump. These kids are really, 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 really going to need somebody that they can trust and kind of walk them through that process, man. Because it could get real ugly out here, just the way business is done. And, now a lot of kids are skipping college totally. They're going straight to the G League.
Right. And, I look at it, too. I tell kids, too, if you're looking at your odds and you're looking at, okay, I got JUCO offers, I got NAIA, I got D3. Sure, that JUCO offer might be your best option if you're looking at, hey, I want to go up.
Yeah.
Because versus a D3 where you might run up that student loan debt.
Yeah.
Going to that D3, or you look at it, you go to the NAIA and you get lost. They might not hear from you again because you go there and you're just not ready. Versus if you go to a JUCO, shoot, you get 2 years, and then once you transfer, hey, you can play right off the gate.
But the thing about the JUCOs, a lot of times, man, you just have to make sure that you're in the right situation. Like a lot of kids don't even know when you go to JUCO, you get tested. So you're in there, if you're taking 900 classes, man, they don't even count. So you're in there. A lot of kids will burn a whole year taking 900 level classes, or burn a half a year, and you still have to get your 24. You still have to get your 48 credits before you get up out of there. So there's no way to duck that, and the 900 level classes don't count towards that. So you can burn a whole year, with absolutely nothing, man. So you just have to make sure you're going to the right junior college when it's going to help you get out of there.
Right, and then you look at it too. Junior colleges raised their academic standards as well. You gotta have at least a 2.2 to be able to come in and play your first year. Otherwise, you have to go through some of those classes and get eligible before the season, or you might just have to be there for an entire year without playing.
I think a lot of that, and this is not a good thing, but a lot of that, like North Carolina has some good coaching in the JUCO. Coach Baker over at Wake Tech. There's some good coaches, but the JUCO, Coach Creasy out at Johnston, man, some good coaches, but
yes, sir.
North Carolina doesn't have the JUCO system set up that other states have. If you're talking about getting kids into college, that is. Those, you have a couple of guys like those guys are just named, Coach, Brown at LCC that, going to do what they need to do to get you there. But in those other states, man, they straight up cheating. It ain't even, man. I had a guy call me, a coach called me. Man, we had a kid that was special. Now, he was just special. He was just a mess up, though. He just messed up all the time. He was special. They said, listen, bring him down to Mississippi. What we're going to do, I need you to send him to Walmart, get him a fishing license. That will establish residency. Once he gets residency in the state, we're going to send him over here. We're going to get him his GED in 2 weeks. Then all we want him to do is go to this junior college and just sit there. We're just going to let him run his clock out for his 2 years. And after those 2 years, he'll go to any school in the SEC that he wants to go to. Now, see, when you got situations like that in other states, that they don't really look into and don't really care. And then you got situations like what we have in North Carolina where they're actually trying to get the kid, like, Coach Baker's not just going to send a kid through and just use him up. He really cares about what's going on with him. You know what I mean? So it's, depends on what your end game is. A lot of kids don't really understand you're not going pro. Everybody thinks they're going to go pro. But the end game for these kids has to be, listen, if I can get my education paid for and come out of this thing with a degree, I won, man. I won. I beat the system, man. I won. That's for 99. That's for 99%. I say 97% of the kids. That's the only thing you should be thinking about, because you're not going pro. There only 60 names going to be called in that draft. And out of that 60 names, only about 40 of you going to make the team, and 15 of those kids are going to be from overseas, man. So you got a better chance. Really, literally, about 25 American kids are going to the draft or getting drafted every year. You really, literally have a better chance of hitting the Powerball or the Mega Millions, than going to the NBA. Like, that's real talk.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Sure. Yeah. That's very true. That's very true words, man. I don't know how many kids is watching, but you definitely need to listen to that.
If you listen to this episode, if you got to this part in the episode, this is like the real stuff right here. Like, this is just straight up, like, brutal honesty. So that's what we like on this show.
Yeah. Like, I had some people hit me up about Coach Creechy. He's gotten a big recruiting class. This is probably the best recruiting class Johnson Communities has ever had.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, this kid is better than that offer. I'm like, man, y'all don't know, man. Those coaches, when they really care and they can get a 17, 18-year-old to really understand the vision. Yeah, it's different when you can get those type of coaches into a place like that.
And somebody that's gonna embrace you, man. And when you make a mistake, they're not gonna, just get rid of you and discard you, man. Because a lot of these coaches, man, once they can't use you no more. Coach G he was at Longwood. He came from Cleveland State. He was at Longwood a couple of years ago when my oldest son was getting recruited, and he said, I don't want to use you, but I will if you want me to. And that was the realest thing I'd ever heard a coach tell a player. Listen, man, I want you to come here and get your degree and, do what you need to do, man, to make yourself successful in life. But I'm really, man, now I'm recruiting you to play basketball. So if you want me to use you and you want to be a knucklehead and think you winning by skipping class, that's up to you. When I was at ECU now, anybody that was there with me will tell you, ECU, Winston-Salem. Well, I was a little bad at Winston-Salem. I ain't even gonna lie, man, because Jerry got that contract, man. I was in Philly, but at ECU, I went to class every day. I never missed class. I never missed a weight session. I never missed anything. Like, I'm looking at my teammates. We're in the weight room, and I said, listen, man, you up at 5:30 in the morning and you skipping sets. Dog, if you got to be up at 5:30 in the morning, you might well do everything you're supposed to do, man. And then you're going to go skip class. You dummy. Dog, look at you have a scholarship. Your scholarship pays for your school. It pays for where you stay. It pays for your food. They give you a little bit of clothes. They're going to give you this little check for your apartment. So basically what you're telling me is by skipping class, that's just like a guy going to get his check every Friday on his job and telling him, nah, I don't want part of my check. You can keep that part. Just give me this other part. That's stupid, man. Like, that's stupid, man. The biggest part of your check as a college athlete is your education, but you don't want that part. You just want the food and somewhere to stay. You're a dummy. That's the thing. I'll just go call it like I said. That's dumb, man. Go get your education, man, because, so you can get your little job, do something, man, because like I said, this basketball is going to end in a minute, man. It's going to be over. If you don't,
in the real world.
If you don't listen to anything that I'm telling you tonight, remember what I'm about to tell you right now. You need to treat basketball like a bad girlfriend. You need to know she'll take you all over the world. She'll show you things that you've never seen before. She'll put clothes on your back. She'll put money in your pocket, man. She'll get you a job. She'll give you connections that you never would have got otherwise. But always remember, man, she's looking for that next young dude that's walking in the gym. And when she find that next young dude, she gonna leave you. And when she leave you, if you ain't got everything you need from her, you short. As long as you remember that, man, you'll be all right.
I think I think that's a good one to end on.
Hey, that might be the best quote we got in the entire series of the Just Like Brothers podcast, man. That's the mic drop right there. Chuck out.
Yo, wow. Out. Hey guys, man, I really appreciate y'all having me on tonight, man. I needed something to do during this quarantine.
Yeah, we need guests.
Hey, we had fun ourselves. It's always good listening to the old heads drop that wisdom on us.
Man, I appreciate it. Well, listen, guys, man, when y'all had that cookout and Anita Baker playing, man, don't make me come shoot your cookout up because y'all can fight me.
All right, one more thing. Please promote all your social media and your radio show on WRAL and all that. Promote all your stuff. Go ahead.
Oh, man, listen, you can catch us on the Sports Shop with Reese and K Mac and Jazz. We're on every morning there. You know, I'm on there Thursdays. We're also at Sideline Stories on YouTube and at Side Stories on Twitter and Instagram, man. So please follow us, man. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, well, that's the episode, really, man. Hey, I always love these type of things. Go ahead and chop that game up, man. Because that's the thing, man. That's what these kids need. They need that wisdom, that game, and that's what I needed. I need to hear that, man.
I needed this episode. Like, real talk. Like that. That just. We just got this wasn't even an episode. This was an education. Like, that's what this was.
And I appreciate y'all making me feel good today.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on, Chuck. We appreciate it, man.
I appreciate y'all for watching too, man. Episode 42.
Yes, sir. We'll be back. We'll be back next time. See you then.
All right, see you guys.